Ma'am, you please, if you agree.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure. Kushagra, please share the video. Thank you, Kushagra. Now I'd like to hand over the forum to Lavika, ma'am. Ma'am, please.
Amazing. Good morning, everyone. I'm super excited to be here and to see all of your faces on this Sunday morning. Generally, I'm not an early morning person, but it was totally worth it getting up at 11 a.m. for this. Um, Having said that, we'll jump into today's session, which is on basics of finance. Finance, even though the term itself, it may seem like, it's a big deal and it's going to be a session full of jargons, etc. I'll try to keep it simplified. I'll try to keep it interactive. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate. Just put it in the chat box. We'll take the questions at the end. Uh, Apart from that, congratulations to all of you for getting selected into round two. Next week is, I think, your final thing of round two. So all the best for that. You all are, super intelligent. You all are super amazing to have crossed this milestone and to be, prepared for round two. So let me begin by sharing my screen first, and we'll take the journey from there. All right. Just let me know if everything is working and if the screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
All right, amazing. So today we are going to talk about decoding the principles of money management. This simple sentence has an impact in all of our lives, not just at an age where we are earning, not just at an age when you're thinking about retirement, but actually it impacts our life at all the stages. So before I move into decoding the principles of money management, I want to introduce myself and who am I. And what am I doing here doing this talk? So I'm Lavika. I was born in Sonipat, Haryana. Did my schooling from there, then graduated from IIT Roorkee, majoring in earth sciences. That's an engineering field. Then during my time at IIT Roorkee, I traveled to IIT Roorkee. I traveled to Europe, I'm so sorry, for 2 months on an extremely tight budget. The reason I put it in here is because I thought that this is relevant to the topic of the discussion that we're doing. I had to choose between, having a bed and a washroom versus touring 7 countries, and I chose the latter. I stayed in a mobile van, and it was a really different experience, and it taught me a lot. Uh, After graduating from Roorkee, I joined Capital One as an analyst, which is a fintech startup turned bank. Today, it's one of the largest banks in the US. During my time there, during my 6 years at Capital One, I learned about credit cards, I learned about loans. And while I was working on the projects, I realized that, even though credit cards and loans, these are the terms that you listen to every day, right? You hear about these words thrown around every day. You see a lot of people using these financial instruments. But the matter of the fact is that even though these products are built for the everyday person, there are a lot of nuances. There's a lot of fine print that goes on at the back end of these instruments, and it doesn't need to be that way. So that gave me a realization that my finances are a mess and that there's so much that I don't know about the instruments that I'm using on a day-to-day basis. So this is where I decided that I'll do something about it. I'll want to change something about it. I was not sure what yet, which led to the birth of Akudo in 2020. The idea and the fundamental premise of Akudo is that we want to be different uh, from any other bank that's out there. We are learning focused. We have uh, a lot of focus on how we present the information and how much transparent we should be with anyone who's using our financial products. To understand and to put all of this in context, I want to tell you some stories of what was happening in my life 1 year before Akudo was born. I think some of you might be able to relate to the first part. So, 1 year before, there were two things that were happening in my life. The first one was that my younger brother kept sending me QR codes every day. It was like, pay for this, pay for that, buy me this, buy me that. And it was just, it was nice to get to talk to him, but uh, it was, it hurt my lazy. Like I would get calls at 7 a.m. I would get calls at 1 a.m. in the night. And it was funny, primarily because uh, I I wanted to pamper my brother, but at the same time, I wanted him to be able to do these things himself. And at the same time, the other thing that was happening was that my friends were acing their personal finance via investing. So I was spending all my money on my brother, and my friends were growing their money essentially by investing in the right tools, by investing in the right technologies. And one of those friends actually is Sajal, who is my co-founder at Akudo and who is the CEO of Akudo. I'm not the CEO. Uh, so he did a lot of investing. He did a lot of financial planning. And when I talked to him, when I deep dived with him on this topic, uh, he told me two things. One is that he has been a credit card user since the age of 15. And second, his parents have given him a lot of books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, How to Think About Money in the Right Way, books like that, that helped him nurture his personal finance skills, that helped him nurture his money management skills. And that made me realize that what you see and what you learn at a very young age, at a very impressionist age, like all of yours, that actually impacts how you handle money in the long run. Because once you go into college, once you start your job life, there is so much more that you're doing in your lives. You'll always be busy, and money will sort of become sidelined, even though it will be at the core of what you're doing or how you're living your life. Thinking about money management will definitely get sidelined. So a lot of impact comes from what you know about money or how you think about money at the very beginning. I think I approved some annotation requests. Let's not annotate. uh, but yeah, anyways, moving on. Okay, I can't move on. Sorry for this. Okay. Yep. All right. So, personal finance is very, very important. Yet, if you see, we don't talk about it. There is an inherent cultural reason why we don't talk about it. We've always, as a society, thought of money as an adult thing, thought of money as a responsibility, thought of money as a means of survival. But all of those things are changing because money is not an adult thing anymore. every day that you wake up, you take decisions whether to buy XYZ on Amazon, whether to get something on Google Play Store, whether to buy this game or that game, or even when you're walking down the road, you're negotiating with a street vendor. All of those are money decisions that you are taking independently. You are now an independent being who's going out there, who's making their own decisions, and that is all related to money. Now, when you are taking those decisions, it's important that at the same time you understand what decisions you're taking, because we take these decisions a lot of times subconsciously. And the idea here is to bring all of those decision making principles to your forefront and to at least be aware of how we are, or what decisions we are taking. Trust me, it's not rocket science. It's easier than everything you are studying. You're studying all of those complex topics like calculus, the history of India. There's so much that you're doing right now, and personal finance is way easy than all of what you're doing right now. It's filled with a lot of jargons for sure. Like you will see that a lot of people will throw around words like, hey dude, I got into NFT, I got into crypto, but all of these are pure jargons. There are certain basic fundamental principles that define all of this, and once you have a hold of those principles, then you can. I am so sorry, there's just a lot of annotation. And once you get a hold.
Ma'am, just a second. Just a second, please. Sorry to interrupt. Students, please do not annotate. Do not click on any button and don't disturb the presentation, please. It's a kind request. Thank you, ma'am. Please continue. Sorry for interruption.
No worries. Or you can annotate something like beautiful. Okay. So coming back, personal finance, I feel like even though it's made out to be a whole lot, it's really not. There are some basic principles. We'll talk about them. The main motivation for me here, coming here today, is not to get you started with your personal finance journey right away, or not to, make you start investing right after this talk. The main motivation is to make you aware. And if at the end of this talk, you all start thinking about your personal finance, you all start reading up about it, that will be a win-win for this talk. So moving on. Okay. Not moving on. Okay, Ashish, I actually cannot move on.
Sorry, ma'am.
I'm not able to move on to this slide. I'm not able to move on to the next slide.
Just a second.
Okay, I think. Yep. All right. So, personal finance is important. We just talked about it. The reason why it's so important is because it impacts every area in your life. It's an all-encompassing life skill. So whether you are going to go ahead and do your engineering, whether you're going to go on and become a doctor, an artist, personal finance will be a part of your life. Money will be a part of your life, irrespective of what you're doing, where you are. It's all encompassing in nature, which is where I feel that we as a society should keep on talking more and more about it. There are certain things in society that we talk about. If you, let's say, if you make this graph, I really love this chart primarily because here, if you see, there are two axes. One is how much society talks about it, how much we as individuals talk about it. And the second part is what is the real importance of those topics in your life in the long term. So On the bottom left, if you see, there's this little dots on INJ, which are called titles, right? This is not important and nobody talks about it. This might literally be the first time you all are hearing about it, right? Because it's not important. Then there are things like Big Boss. They're really not important. They are fluff, they are for entertainment, but there is a lot of conversation about Big Boss in the society, at least in my peer group. Then there are things like Corona, the pandemic that's been ongoing for more than 2 years. The reason why we are not meeting face to face, the reason why we are doing this over a WebEx. Uh, this is an important thing, and we do talk about it. Then there are things like money, which I feel lies on the bottom right of this graph, where the real importance is very, very, very high, but we don't talk about it. So let's start a conversation today. Let's dedicate this 1 hour to the conversation of personal finance, and hopefully this paves the way that we can take it forward from here. Right? Moving on. This is not just me who is saying this. This is the collective experience of a lot of successful and wealthy people who are out there. Bill Gates, Virat Kohli, Warren Buffett, Michael Jordan, whoever you relate to the most. All of those people have emphasized on the importance of starting early, on the importance of taking control of your finances, on their stories, on how they achieved success in their life by keeping personal finance principles, by keeping money management principles at the core of it. So really, it's across career choices, it's across you as a person, it engulfs all of it and everything, right? Uh, we at Akudo, we like to call it the game of money, primarily because it is like a game. If you think about it, what you're doing with your money, it's like a game. But very few people will consciously learn how to play it. Most of the folks will just unconsciously, subconsciously go through this money management life cycle, and a few will just learn how to play it and then master it, right? So, there are different ways in which you can think about money management. If you think about it, the easiest way is you earn, you spend. That's called paycheck to paycheck living, right? The second way is that you earn, you save something, and then you spend, right? That's you have some emergency funds, you have some short term funds that are there with you, and you are saving a bit, but you are somewhere in the middle of the pack. Then, how do legends play this game? They earn, they invest, and then they spend. Why investment plays a critical role here is because money is a finite resource in the sense that if you keep it, it will shrink down in value. It will not stay constant. There are things like inflation, and I can put in a lot of jargons here, and I won't. But money has an inherent property that if uh, if you keep it as it is, it can shrink down in value. It can grow stale. For example, bread, it doesn't survive throughout, right? It grows stale. Similarly, money grows stale. It can shrink down in its value, which is where you need to invest and actively grow it so that your value keeps on growing of money, and then you spend it. So, deep diving into these parts, uh, first we'll go on the construct of the game. It's pretty straightforward. You have to earn some money in life, whether you're doing a job to earn it, whether you're using your skills, whether you are doing a business, whether you're getting your pocket money. There is some way in which you procure some money, in which you get some money. You obviously have to spend it to live life. Money is a tool which helps you buy things, which helps you get what you want. Then the second part here is no one, and I think I can speak for not just folks on the call here, but literally no one dislikes it if their money grows. If I have 100 rupees today and it turns into 200 tomorrow by some magic, I would love it. There's no doubt that I would be sad about it. The value of money goes down with time. Money is not a constant. If you have 100 rupees today, think of 10 things that you can buy with those 100 rupees. 1 year down the line, you will not be able to buy 10 things out of those 100 rupees. You will only be able to buy 9 things. This essentially translates to the value of your money shrinking down. So, the value of money at a time uh, does not mean that it will stay constant 1 year down the line, or 2 years down the line, or 3 years down the line, right? And the fifth and the most important property of money is that money grows from money. The more you invest your money strategically, the more it will grow, right? So we'll start with the simplest and the most fun part, which I think you all will be able to relate to, is spending, right? We all love spending. We all love shopping, especially in this age of online commerce. It's super easy and it's super exciting to just open your phones, browse different things, and spend. When you're thinking about spending, there's only one basic principle that you need to think about and that you need to know. That is wants versus needs. Everything that you're buying, everything that you're spending your money on can be classified on wants versus needs, right? Things that you like and things that you must have to survive. And wants and needs, it's not a black and white line, right? Whatever could be a need for me could be a want for someone else. Whatever is a want for whatever is a need for someone else could be a want for me. For example, a laptop, right? If you are in an area, or if you're working on a project where you really need a laptop to succeed in your project or to complete your project, laptop at that time will be a need for you. But for someone else, for probably your younger sibling who's just using the laptop to watch some series or something like that, that's probably a want. That's not a need. So this differentiation in your head, it's a very personal choice. It's a very personal differentiation. Your wants and your needs will not coincide with someone else's wants and needs. So, which is why you have to think about wants and needs for yourself. What is it that you want and what is it that you really need? And once you understand this distinction, I think then your spending habits and the way it evolves, that will have a very huge impact on your personal finance management style, right? So, I just wanted to put it out there. So, for example, Apple, one could be a need, one could be a want, right? And then different things. I've just tried to categorize some of the things here, but of course, like I said, it's a very personal choice. What you are doing, what your lifestyle is, how you want to live your life, that will essentially determine which thing falls in what category for you. And once you know that, then you can deploy a simple winning strategy here, that you save first, then you spend what's left. And while you're spending what's left, you focus on your needs first and then on your wants. For example, let's say you want a PS5. You could probably classify in a wants category, not in a needs category, and then you can work towards it. You don't need to buy it immediately. You can work towards it over the next 6 months, over the next 8 months, so that all your needs are fulfilled. And you're only spending on what's essential or what you really need, right? And in that, the only funda that you need to remember is that save first. Even if you're getting 100 rupees, get into the habit of saving some of it first, not all of it, and then spend the rest of it. What it will help you is build a corpus over time, That then you can spend on your wants, like a PS5. 6 months down the line, 8 months down the line, you can spend it on that and you can get what you want. Right? The biggest thing here, and the hardest bit for anyone to cultivate is the habit of savings. Because whenever we receive our money, when I received my first paycheck, it was just this euphoria moment, okay, that I have the money and oh, I want this, I want that, I want new clothes, I want a new phone. And you just spending it a lot. You just end up spending a whole lot of it without thinking about savings, which is why it's really really hard, because you are essentially saying no to a desire, you're essentially saying no to a want, and you're forcing yourself to uh, keep it aside, and you don't know what you have to do with it when you keep it aside. But this is a way of life that has the potential to become a game changer in your personal finance journey, right? And this will determine how effective you are with the game of money. Finally, we'll move into the most interesting bit, which is investing. This is a bit where you can actually strategize a lot. So if you could just by show of hands or something, how many of you folks play games like Clash of Clans, AoE, Catan, real strategy games? How many of you folks are excited to play these games? Do you do that? Okay, I can see a few people who are interested and who play these games. Awesome. So, for those of you who play these games, you will find investing a lot more interesting than the others, because it's a lot of strategy. Think of yourself as the commander of an army, and you have this entire army of resources, and you have to deploy it at different positions so that you win, right? And this is the strategy that you need to come up with. And once you have that strategy, and once you deploy all your resources very effectively, you will see the magic of that correct strategy coming up and that brewing up, right? So in investing, what I would like to talk about first is how the investing game works. How do you think about investing? So the first and foremost thing is you get some money at fixed intervals, right? It could be a job, it could be a freelance contract, it could be pocket money. You're getting some money at fixed intervals, and you have to grow your money by investing it in different places, by deploying your army of resources at different places. The higher, the better. You have a fixed number of years to grow your money for retirement. Most of you are what, 12, 13 years of age. You'll probably retire at the age of 50, 60. Some of you may want to retire early, some of you may want to retire a little late, but there are just these fixed number of years in which you can grow your money, in which you can invest, which is where starting early is the better, because is the better mode, because then you get more number of years. Then the fourth bit is you can, the resources that I've been talking about till now, in the financial lingo, it's called assets. And these are the assets where you put your money in, where you invest your money in. And as you progress, there'll be some expenses that you have to do. So it's not like if you got 100 rupees today, you go ahead and invest all your 100 rupees in some assets, because there are expenses, there are spends that you need to make to do to to survive your everyday life, essentially. So you will invest a bit of it, maybe 20 rupees or maybe 30 rupees. You will let that money grow, and the rest of it you will use it for your spending, for savings, for some emergency funds, etc., right? So let's talk about some of these assets. The first one is a savings account, right? Savings account is essentially a place where you are stashing your money instead of keeping it in your pocket. 100 rupees, don't keep it in your pocket, keep it in a piggy bank or a bank or a new bank, right? It earns you a low interest rate, a very, very low interest rate, but it is also low risk. What does this mean? That if you are putting 100 rupees in a savings account, at the end of 1 year, you may just end up growing it from 100 to 102 or 103. It's a very low interest rate, but it is also low risk, which means that there is an almost 100% guarantee that you will get that 102 rupees back at the end of your 1 year, right? It's great for building emergency funds. This essentially means that, let's say that you have 100 rupees, you've put it in a savings account. Uh, you are walking by a Theobroma, or you're walking by a Baskin and Robbins, and you feel like your body tells you that it's an emergency, I need to get that ice cream. Then you can deploy your emergency fund, you can take out your card, you can take out your phone, and you can make that payment. The reason why you'll be able to do this is because you've put it in a savings account, and it's very easy to take money in and out from your savings account, right? You won't take a ton, you won't make a ton of money here, but essentially you won't lose money either when you're putting money in a savings account. Next up is a fixed deposit, right? It will guarantee you a fixed rate of interest on your money, which is higher than your savings account. So here, if you are adding 100 rupees to your fixed deposits, you will probably end up making 105, 107, 110 even after 1 year. But the nuance here is that the money will get locked. You will not be able to withdraw it within that period of 1 year where you're putting the money for. So let's say if you have 100 rupees, a good idea, and you don't want to spend any of it, a good idea would be to not put 100 rupees in fixed deposit. Keep at least 20, 30, 40 in your savings account. The rest of it, you can put it in other different assets, which gets locked and you cannot take out the money directly from there. Generally, the longer you invest for in a fixed deposit, the better interest you get. So you will see all of these bank brochures where they'll say that, okay, put it for 1 year and 1 day and you'll get 5%. Put it for 2 years and 1 day, you'll get 7%. And there are all of these interest rates that are there based on the term that you are investing. Right. This instrument is also really, really safe here as well. There is almost 100% guarantee that you will get your money back. Right. The third one is stocks, which is investing in different companies, companies like Akudo, companies like HUL, companies like the Tata Motors of the world, right? And by investing in these companies, you essentially end up owning a fraction of the company, a small portion of the company. So you become like an owner, right? Let's say if you've got one stock of HUL, then you are in essence a part owner of HUL, because now how the company performs, whatever the company is doing, that directly impacts your money. That directly has an impact on whether your money will grow or whether your money will be put at risk, right? So if the company is doing well, their stock price will go up. If it's not doing well, the stock price will go down. The essential strategy here is that you want to buy at a lower price and you want to sell at a higher price. And the difference between the two prices, where you're buying and where you're selling, that will determine your margin, right? Now, you can trade in these stocks. It could be a day trading, it could be a longer term investment in the stocks. That's your personal choice. But generally, what is seen is that if you are in the stock market, try and play the long game. In the long game, where you're putting your money for 5 years, for 10 years, and if you're staying in the market, there is a very, very good chance that the stock market is going to go up, because the economies are going up, because every economy is going up. So even though there might be, minor turbulences on the way here and there, sometimes you might see the stocks dipping, Sometimes you might see that they are going on an astronomical rise, etc. But if you're staying in the long run in the stock market, then you will see some profits over time and you will get all your money back. Moving on, there is index fund. Index fund, I would say, is the best weapon that you have for at this stage, and it's true for pros as well. It's well diversified. An index fund essentially is a basket of all the stocks that you see. So there's, let's say, there's HUL, there's a Marico, there's a Dabur, and all of these stocks, you can buy them individually. You can say that I want 10 of HUL, I want 10 of Dabur, I want 5 of Marico. Or you can say that I want the index fund of all of these stocks, of all the FMCG stocks. What will happen here is that if one company is doing good and the other company is doing bad, it will average out for you. So it will put your money not just in one company, but a bag of money whose collective performance will determine how your money is growing. So it's essentially how the economy is growing or how the market is growing, to put it in the simplest of terms. What you can do here is that if you're investing in any form of index fund, it is sort of like, set it, forget it. You put your money there, you know that in the long term it's going to grow, it's going to give you returns, and you can forget your money there. And there's almost a good percentage of guarantee that in the long term you'll see success there. A good example to start with index funds is investing via SIPs, right? Which is a simplified version of the index fund investments. That essentially means that you decide on a fixed amount of money. It could even be as small as 100 rupees or 500 rupees, and you say that I'll invest 100 rupees every month in this SIP. As the SIP will grow, the value of your money will also keep on growing. And then there are some time periods and constraints that are there that comes with SIPs. For example, you cannot withdraw it in 1 year or before 2 years, etc. We'll have to talk through it when you are investing in the SIP. But essentially, don't put all of your money here. It's again not a liquid instrument. You will not be able to withdraw it very easily before a certain period of time, right? Then the next bit is bonds. Bonds is you investing in the institute of government. You investing in the government that's there, right? So essentially, from time to time, the government, to boost up money, they will start issuing bonds, which means that they will say that, okay, hey, give me your 100 rupees today. I will write you a paper, and on that paper, I will write that the government of India owes you 100 rupees. They'll give you an interest rate on top of that, which could be anywhere between, let's say, 7 to 10%. And they'll say, okay, I'll give you this money back after 2 years, and I'll give you a 10% interest rate on top of it. And the government of India is guaranteeing that you will get your money back, which makes it really, really safe. It's not tied to the stock market. The 2008 crash that happened, the economic depression of the 1930s, these are all things that are happening in the capital markets. The private players are doing it, but the government is not directly involved. Where the government is involved is in the bonds. Now, don't think of investing in the government as investing in Modi ji. You're not investing in Modi ji. You're not giving money to Modi ji. You're giving money to the government of India. And whoever holds that position, whoever holds that chair, will be responsible, will be liable to give you your money back. And you will get your money back because governments are much, much stable, right? Then the last one that I have here is gold. Everyone likes this shiny instrument. You would have heard your parents talk about buying gold, or gold ka price upar ja raha hai, niche ja raha hai, and things like that. Generally, it is seen, although there is I don't think there is a very solid reason behind it, but theoretically, it's seen that whenever the stock markets start going down, the gold price has a negative correlation with the stock markets, which means that when stock markets are going down, people will end up buying more and more gold, and the price of gold will hold its value, which means that investing some amount of your money in gold might be a good idea for diversification. Because then, if the capital markets are crashing, if the economies are crashing, then all of your money doesn't go down to zero. You still have some assets with you that are growing, that are giving you positive returns, and you don't take on a whole lot of loss. Having said this, the one thing that I would really like to call out here is that investments are risky. There is no form of investments in equity, in index fund, in bonds, in gold that's not risky. The safe options are your savings account and your fixed deposits, but they don't give you high returns. So you need to have a good balance in your strategy to do some risky moves, but to have some more stable, safe moves as well, so that overall you end up benefiting, or you end up making a strategy that works to your advantage, but you don't put a whole lot at risk, right? Uh, Apart from strategy, investing is also a game of persistence, which means, like I said before, right? If you stay in the stock market for long enough, you are almost guaranteed a success in the stock market. And people who lose a ton of money in the stock market is because they left the war field too early. In a war situation, the team or the army that survives the war, that stays on the ground the longest, they will end up winning, right? So you need to be persistent at what you're doing. And persistence is a tool that not only for your money management, but if you deployed it in your learnings, in your education, in what you want to achieve in life, persistence is guaranteed to give you those results. I was recently watching a documentary where they said that the world is filled with unrewarded geniuses and educated fools. So education, hard work, the prodigy, the genius, that's at one level. Nothing beats persistence. And for that persistence, what we have at Akudo is something that will make you learn while you bank seamlessly with us in the most seamless way possible, right? Which is essentially what we are calling our learning focused banking, where we are integrating banking requirements with how you learn and how you think about money management. Our framework is pretty simple. The first part is to create awareness that you have all of this content, all of this information, all of this knowledge at your disposal. Then, once you are aware of all of this information, you practice it day in and day out. Because if you don't practice it, it will not get ingrained as a habit, it will not be a persistence thing, and it will die down eventually. So, we have smart tools that enable you to practice these money management habits day in and day out. And the third bit essentially is to build habits out of it. The success for us as a company is defined when the savings habit, when the habit of good money management is ingrained into a teenager like you, right? So this is the app. Go check out the app. I think we're short on time, so I will not deep dive on this a whole lot. But go check out the app. We are available on Play Store and App Store both. And if you have any feedback, not just on the app, but uh, uh, on money management, or if you want to chat up a bit more, just feel free to hit me up anytime. All right, this is my founding team. I'm here. There's Sajal, the person I was talking about, who essentially led the way for us to build Akudo. There's Jagveer, who is our tech champion. There's Amish, who's our growth and marketing champion. We're seeing a lot of user love. We already have more than 700,000 teenagers on the platform, spread across 3,000 different cities. We keep on doing these webinars and these smaller talks. Some are more advanced and more deeper into the conversation. Some are more basic. And yeah, so I'll stop here and I'll open up for some questions if you guys have.
Yeah, ma'am. I'll read out the questions for you then.
Yep.
Yeah, we have selected a few questions from the chat box. Students, you can still write down your questions in chat box. But before that, ma'am, I'd like to really thank you. It was very interesting to learn the journey of Akudo, and the way you explained everything in the game of money manner was really enlightening. It means I really enjoyed it. Like the difference between wants and needs, inflation, finance, and how we have to manage our wants and needs. Also, the part of relating it with the game of Clash of Clans and like that, it was very interesting, and I am sure that all of the students would have enjoyed that part. Because if we because with the example like game and something which everyone does, it gets more interesting, and it was really easy for everyone to understand. Also, you explained the technical terms, assets, savings account, fixed deposit, stocks in a really easy manner, and I hope that everyone has understood them, and they'll surely be benefited about this in the future.
Yep, let's hope.
Yeah. Ma'am, I'll now read out the questions. Yeah, we have some questions. So the first question is from Nilarka Pahari, and its question is, ma'am, what is the risk in savings account?
There's almost zero risk in savings account, Nilarka. The thing to know here is that, let's say if you're putting your money in a bank, it's like a 0.00001% chance that the bank will collapse, or even let alone the bank, the government will let it collapse, right? So a lot of banks have gone under some turbulent phases during their life cycles, but the customers, the consumers' money does not get impacted. So savings account, it's really safe.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Next question is from Harshvardhan. He asked, what does the bank gain when the people invest money in their bank?
So the bank earns money whenever you are investing. So let's say like you have 100 rupees, right? This is one side where you're giving your money to the bank, but then there is a whole other side of the money game, which is where you want to borrow money from the banks. We did not cover the credit card and the loans bit of the entire banking ecosystem, but essentially today if you're giving your 100 rupees to the bank will be like, okay, I'll give you 5% on top of it, I'll give you 105 rupees at the end of 1 year. What they'll do with that 100 rupees is they'll also not keep it, because like we discussed, if you keep money, the value of money will shrink, so you need to deploy it at different places, right? So what the bank will do is the bank will take your 100 rupees, give it to someone else, and will say, okay, hey, I'm giving you 100 rupees, but now you give me 110 rupees back. So they will take on some extra risk because now they're not giving it to another bank, they're giving it to an individual. So there is some risk involved. They'll give it to some other individual, they'll take 110 rupees from that individual. The 5 rupees is the profit that they will make from your 100 rupees. Right. So that's how the bank plays this game.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So Sai Sushant also asked, where should kids invest and where to learn it from?
So, where should kids invest? That's slightly tricky because the regulations essentially don't allow you as teenagers to invest directly. You can always invest under your parents' guidance, and the reason for that also is because investments are risky. So today, if you see like 100 rupees going up to 120 or 130, it's not necessarily that it will stay true, and you might end up losing the 100 rupees as well. So you can invest under your parents guidance, But I think at this stage, the more important bit is to be aware of all the instruments that are there, to build onto that habit of savings, to understand the risk element of it, to understand how much you can actually put it in investments once you start earning, and to get into that zone where you know that whenever you get some money, your heart automatically tells you that okay, you need to save some of it, and then from those savings you can start investing. uh, in terms of the resources where you can find more information, there's a bunch of resources on YouTube. Like if you just go there, I know they're not aggregated, they're all over the place, but if you just even spend like 15 minutes or 20 minutes a day, not more than that, on just watching some or the other YouTube video, you'll get into a zone where you'll start knowing about these things in a much more holistic manner. But essentially it's not rocket science, it's not like a whole lot of course that you will have to undergo.
Yeah. So, ma'am, there is one more question from Pushkar Ahuja. He says, I am investing regularly out of my pocket money in stocks, crypto assets, and mutual funds. But when the market goes up or down and I liquidate my funds, after some time I got confused about how I get them or lose them, how I maintain it properly.
So, see, that's essentially what I feel here is that's sort of short-term investing. Like you invested some money out of your pocket money, the market was up, you must have gained something, you must have, I don't know, lost something. Pushkar, you can shed some light on it. But when you're taking out the money, now you're keeping your money, right? Now you have something to work with, a corpus to work with. If there are things that you want to spend this money on, go ahead. And the rest of it, it would be a good idea to invest again, because the longer you keep it in for in the investment game, the higher returns you will earn. So if you don't have any need of the money that has come out of your investing thing, then you should probably, I think, invest again.
Yeah, okay. Ma'am, just a small request. Can you please transfer the host role to me so that students do not annotate or like present something again? Someone was trying right now. Yeah, it won't be disturbance anymore.
You will have to tell me to do that though.
Ma'am, there should be an option in the yeah. Okay, all right, then no problem. Students, please do not start to share anything. Just it's just 10 more minutes, and so please do not disturb. Okay. Yeah. Ma'am, the next question is from Arya Mahajan. So she asks, we as a teenager should invest in a fixed deposit or stock market. As in fixed deposit, we are getting low interest, and in stock market, there is high risk.
Sorry, hello.
Yeah, ma'am, I'll just read it once again.
Yeah.
So, as a teenager, should we invest in fixed deposit or stock market? Because fixed deposit gives low interest returns, and stock market is at high risk.
So, not just as a teenager, but as a strategy going forward as well, when you're in your job life, when you're earning, at that time as well, it's always a good idea to invest in both. Invest some of your amount in the fixed deposit and the savings account, like of things which are less risky, and then take in some amount, maybe 10% or 20%, to invest in the stock market, which is generally high risk. I am not sure. Yeah, you can hear me. Okay.
Yeah. So, ma'am, what were the difficulties you faced in the journey of Akudo? Like you started working in a bank, then you started Akudo. So, how was your journey? What difficulties you faced?
So I think the biggest difficulty for us during the journey of Akudo in the initial days was to introduce this learning first concept to all our stakeholders out there, because it was very unknown. There's nothing like this out in the market right now, where where the company is wanting to integrate learning along with the banking requirements. The banking inherently, traditionally, has been an area where there's a lot of fine print, where a lot of money is made when you're not transparent, when you don't divulge all of the information to the end consumer, and when you make more and more complicated products, so to say. But we wanted to change that. We wanted to bring transparency to banking, and that explaining this entire concept and really putting your heart and soul into it, that was the more difficult part, because there's no precedence uh, of such an institution.
Yeah. Ma'am, there is one more interesting question by Janvi. What is the meaning of name Akudo and what does it signifies? Is ma'am, are you in the meet? Hello? Yeah. Yeah, no problem. So students, how did you like this webinar? Ma'am will be joining in a few minutes. It won't be a problem. So how did you like? You have a reaction button over there. Thumbs up if you liked it. Yes. Did you learn something new? Yes, 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 yes. There are many, many, many. Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
Thank you. I was not able to unmute myself.
Yeah,
And
ma'am.
I'm sorry, my internet connection just got a little weird and fuzzy.
Yeah, no issue, ma'am. No issue.
All right.
So, ma'am, I'll just ask the next question. Just a second. Yeah, ma'am. For the question, what is the meaning of name Akudo and what does it signifies?
So, Akudo essentially means peaceful wealth, uh, because the entire framework of what we're building and what we were trying to build at that point of time is dependent on making your money grow peacefully in a fashion where you don't stress too much about it, you don't think too much about it, and it is seamless. This is where we choose where we chose the name Akudo from. It's peaceful wealth in an African language called Igbo.
Very nice. Yeah. So, ma'am, the next question is, what is main difference between finance and accounting startup?
So, finance and accounting startups, finance is sort of like the front end manifestation of where your money is going, right? So it's payments, where you're spending, whether you're borrowing money, it's loans. It's the pretty thing in the front end that you see. And accounting is essentially the back end, which is like, okay, whatever you spent, now let's do the hisab of it. Let's open this book and सब कुछ हिसाब करके देखते हैं कि सब कुछ सही से बैठ रहा है या नहीं बैठ रहा. So that hisab and that maintaining that governance and that responsibility bit is of for finance things is what is accounting.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. It was really nice. And the journey of Akudo was very inspiring. And on behalf of all the students and the complete NEO team, I really want to thank you and wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was
Thank you, ma'am.
fun. Thank you all for joining as well.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you.